Okay, so we're going to go over how to add a city page to the footer. So here we have a list of cities here, and we have no pages. We already did the Winter Park page, and that's working pretty good. So let's start from the top, and let's do, say, Lake Mary. So right now, when we click on the footer here, Lake Mary just goes to nothing. So what we first want to do is go to our Dreamweaver panel, and on the right we have Choice Plumbing opened up in the Site Manager, and we want to use a page as a template. So since the Contact Us page already has, let's find it here, the Contact Us page here already has a contact form on it, as you can see here. This will work pretty good as a base shell because all the contact connections are already made in the back end of the code, so all we have to do is just change a few things. So let's take a look here. Here's the contact.php file. That's the file that I have opened up here, and all this here is the PHP that controls the contact forms. The first thing we want to do, since we're working on a page called Lake Mary, and we're optimizing for Lake Mary, we want to go ahead and save this page as a Lake Mary plumbing page. So let's type in Lake Mary Plumber and save it. And I already made a mistake. This is not supposed to be in caps. So let's undo this, and I'm going to delete that page and redo it. And let's try this again. Lake Mary Plumber. And that's it. It'll add the .php to it on the road. So now we have our Lake Mary Plumber page that we can begin tailoring for Lake Mary. So the first thing that we want to do is come down here to line 55, or the subject line of the email that's going to send to the customer. Let's keep this in all caps because this is going to be the subject line. Let's change this to Choice Plumbing Lake Mary. Contact form. And the rest can remain the same. Nothing else has to change. We already are telling the form that when it's sent, it goes to dispatch@choiceplumbingorlando.com, and then it also copies my primary email address here. So let's scroll down and begin the customizations. So here is our title. The title of the page is the most important part in terms of SEO. The title is when you hover over here, you'll see that it comes up Contact Choice Plumbing, call 407-422-7443. That's all right here. So this is what the first part of the page that we're going to change, and we're going to call this Lake, actually let's do local Lake Mary Plumber, and we can go ahead and change this tail from Licensed Bonded Insured to Choice Plumbing, so we can better brand it. Now, in the rest of the back-end data for SEO, we're going to also pay attention to a tag called Canonical. Canonical tag is the local source content for the content that's actually on the page. So basically, what we're changing here is the tail. We're going to change the tail 3 different times in the metadata. We're going to change it here. We're going to change it here. This is the Dublin Core SEO. And we're also going to change it here, which is for Facebook. So a really quick way of doing this would be to find all and replace, but the problem is there may be other links in this page that are going to the contact page. So for the sake of knowing how to do this from the beginning, let's go ahead and refresh our Dreamweaver panel and find the Lake Mary Plumber page. I'm just going to type L. Lake Mary Plumber. I'm going to copy this entire thing, including the .php string, and I'm going to simply paste it 3 different times. Here, here, and here. And I'm going to save it, Control S. Now we have the backend data tailored to this page. The other thing we're going to do is copy this title right here, and we're going to place it here where it's found in DC title. So let's go to here, paste it there. And remember when you're doing your copy and pasting not to accidentally delete these quotes on your meta tags or the entire page will break. So in the subject fields and in the classification fields, we have Orlando listed. We want to change that to Lake Mary. Lake Mary, Florida. here, serving all of Lake Mary. So now, what this means is the start of Open Graph and the end of Open Graph. These are notes to the developer. But basically, what this is saying is if this page were ever shared on Facebook or LinkedIn, it's going to go ahead and this is the text that it's going to render on that page and the appropriate data. So for OG title, we want to do Choice Plumbing and then do Lake Mary, Florida. And then I always save. So now that we have our back-end SEO handled, let's go ahead and start to kind of do our customizations here. So you want to scroll down to about line 206, where you're going to start your content of your page. This is going to be where the text starts to render. So if we go ahead and look at our contact page, you'll see right here on the page, did you know we offer 0% financing? So that's this text here. So we want to put all of our text above the fold of that. So we're looking for a container and a row. And inside of the container, inside of the row of each container, you can have up to 12 columns. This is defined as a column of the 12 width. So basically, that's going to stretch from this side of the page all the way to this side of the page, the entire width of the grid. The grid would be separated in columns, making up 12 equal parts here. So for example, this is a 12 wide column, this is a 6 wide column, and a 6 wide column. So let's go ahead and duplicate the 6 wide columns here by simply copying row and the column starts. We can keep them all in the same container because a container is just basically a big box that all this content sits in, and I like to give myself a lot of white space here. Let's go ahead and paste that. So now we have 2 starting divs, we have to have 2 closing divs. So let's go ahead and close this, and then, so we've basically closed this div, and since this div is below the row div, let's close the row div. Now we have a properly coded grid. So since we're going to have 2 6 grids, let's change this to a 6. Copy this. Change this to a 6. And now if I put the text 1 and 2 in here and save it and upload lakemaryplumber.php to the server by simply using this to refresh the FTP cache, Lake Mary Plumber, I double click it. It puts those files to the server. And then let's copy this URL since we don't have it set up in the main menu system yet. Put it here and render it. Now we have our number 1 and our number 2 in the appropriate grid. So let's go ahead now and add a horizontal rule below that to space it off. And since we're in the container, we'll go right below the closing row tag and do a horizontal rule. We'll save it, we'll upload it, and we'll check it. Perfect. Now we have a horizontal rule that breaks up this section and this section, and now we are free to add our content. So the next thing we want to do is find Lake Mary on the map, since this is a Lake Mary page. So let's type in Lake Mary, Florida. Click on Lake Mary, and here's our Lake Mary page. Here, I did a little bit of a zoom to center Lake Mary. Let's go to Share. Let's go to Embed Map. Copy the Embed Map source code. Paste it in our rightmost div, which is number 2. But before we're finished there, I'm going to clean up this div by entering a return carriage here and entering a return carriage here to keep our div straight. And we want to wrap this iframe code in a responsive container called a video container. So what we can do is copy this div, paste it here for the structure, change the class of the MD6 to video container. We already have the video container CSS written in the source code, and then we're going to close it. So now this entire div is actually these divs. So we have a div, a div, a div, and a div. This div closes up the row. So now if we save that and we upload it to the server, we can go ahead and check it again, and you'll now see the map sitting here. So what we want to do now, where this 1 is actually at our SEO text for the Lake Mary area. So that's simply done by going to where we have our number 1. Let's hit enter, enter, go up so we have a nice clean area to code in. Let's do an H1 tag. Let's type in local plumber. And then we will close that div. Local plumber in Lake Mary, Florida. Let's let Lake Mary, Florida be strong by typing in strong tags. Let's save it, and now let's add some introductory text, and here we want to try to get 2 paragraphs of text here, so I'll start this off as something like that. And then make sure you close your p tag. So all your text is contained within a p tag. Hit save, upload it to the server, refresh, and now here's our title and here's our text. So what we want to do is add another couple of sentences in here, maybe another paragraph, and that will start us off on the optimization of this. Now what we want to do is change our background image, and that's simply done by opening up a file in the CSS folder called custom.css. Let's scroll to, say, about line, you can get away with doing line 58. Let's copy from line 58 to line 77. And these lines will always change as this page evolves. Let's make some white space here, and let's paste that exact duplicate, and let's change what page this is referencing. So we're going to basically tell the CSS file, hey, we're referencing the Lake Mary plumbing page. So let's do Lake Mary page. Copy this note. I put it here, so now every time we open up this file, we know that this is what it's referencing. The only thing we have to change here is where it says Winter Park, or whatever one you copy. Let's change it to Lake Mary, always in lowercase. And then let's go ahead and copy the tail and put it here, and let's put it here. And then now, so basically we're saying for this page, when it references in this section here on line 192, when it references page top custom product dash, we're going to simply change this to Lake Mary, and then save it. We're going to go back to our custom.css and look, this is what we're telling it to look for. Custom product dash Lake Mary. When it finds this section, it's going to look for a background image that's going to reside in the IMG folder, and this is going to be the name of the actual JPEG. So before we make the JPEG, we already know what we're going to name it. So let's name this new JPEG Lake Mary BG for background. Let's save it. Let's put custom.css back to the server by opening up CSS. Let's go to our server directory. Let's open up the CSS folder. You'll note you're always going to look for a match. Let's find custom.css and double click it, and it'll go ahead and put custom.css in here. Now we know when we upload our page, it'll know what image to reference. So we can go back to Lake Mary Plumber. Let's find that page, upload it to the server, refresh, and this should turn blank, which is exactly what we want because we haven't defined an image. We haven't put that image that we told it to look for up on the server yet. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's open up Photoshop. Let's go to File, New. Let's make a new image that's 1920 wide by, let's go 500 high, hit enter. This is our frame of this image here. So let's go ahead and find a plumbing image. 1, 2, 3. So now have our image that we're going to be saving here. Sorry, I just had to stop the recorder. So let's save this as LakeMaryBG.jpg. There we go. Let's go ahead now and take LakeMaryBG.jpg and we're going to look for the image folder here. So we're going to be able to drag our Lake Mary to the image folder. So we're just going to drag it into IMG, let it upload, and now that it's uploaded, let's go back to here and refresh, and now our image loads up nice. So looks like our image size issue might be a little bit of a different size. We have more real estate here showing, so let's actually change when you first make your image. Let's do file new, let's do 1920 by 4. Let me see here, actually, let's look at it. These images that are in the server are IMG. These images are 437 high. So let's do file new 1920 by 437. Hit OK. And let's go ahead and make our image. I simply found a team photo. I'm holding Shift and Alt. I'm resizing it. I'm going to position it well where we can kind of see the guys and the top of the building nicely. I'm going to hit the move command. I'm going to hit place. I'm going to hit Control S to save it. I'm going to save it as a JPEG, as LakeMaryBG.jpg. Save it as, when you're saving it, try to save it about a medium quality, like a 5 or a 6. Save it. Let's replace this image now on the server by dumping it back into the IMG folder. Once that's done, you're going to refresh your page. Okay, so now we've refreshed this, and now they're positioned well in the page, so everything is good there. So now it's referencing its own image. So when we're doing these pages, we want to always make sure that we change the image background to something different. So when the customer first goes from page to page to page, they're seeing that change in page. Also, it's going to get a unique map. It's going to get some unique text here. And then the last thing we need to do is update the footer file, so now these pages are actually linking. So let's go back to our Dreamweaver panel. Let's look for a file called footer.php. Let's open that up, and now we can start to see our list of cities that are here. So we see Orlando, Winter Garden, Windermere, Ocoee. Here's Lake Mary. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this hash mark. We're going to go ahead and find our file, which is Lake Mary. Let's type L for Lake. Lake Mary Plumber. We're going to copy the entire thing, lakemary-plumber.php. Make sure you copy the .php. We're going to replace the hashtag with .php. We're going to save it. Then we're going to upload footer.php to the root directory where you see all your PHP files. So just do that by double clicking on it. Let's hit refresh. So we refresh the actual footer. Let's go to the home page and let's try the Lake Mary link. That should work. Bingo. It takes us to our new Lake Mary page. So this is how you're going to go ahead and edit everything. And then once all the pages are added in, we're going to send a test form from each of these new pages from the actual different pages and make sure that the subject lines all render the way we want them to. So Lake Mary Plumber, when it's sent, should render Lake Mary page. So let's do HNS to validate this code. We're going to type in the what is your polling problem. This is a test. And then updated mail system. And then for one, we're going to type in Lake Mary. And let's go ahead and hit submit. It should take us to a thank you confirmation page if the internet's still working, which it did. And now, if everything worked well, in a couple of seconds we should be getting the new email that's been sent from the new page from Lake Mary. It should say it in the actual subject file here.